And I have learned that if you really, really want to own and dominate the industry that you've been called to as an entrepreneur, you gotta get comfortable with being fluid. You got to be as liquid as possible. You got to find a way to get in wherever you can fit in. Changes is not a bad thing. You just got to find a way to make it work for you.
Welcome to another episode of More Than Your Barber. I am your host, AP, and listen, tonight we have an incredible opportunity to tap into some free game. Wow. I cannot wait to tap into this conversation. I have a friend with me. He is an entrepreneur. He is a pastor. He is a keynote speaker. He's just an all-around dope dude. My guy, Pastor Ken. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Glad to be in the room here today, man.
Absolutely, really absolutely. Listen, I have been checking out your content.
Yes, sir.
I've been kind of stalking what it is that you're doing. You got some cold content, and I am impressed with what it is that you're doing, especially in the lives of the entrepreneurship space.
Man. Yes, sir.
And so with that, man, I just want to know how you're doing, what's going on in your world.
I'm doing well, man. God is good, man. And I just feel that my assignment is really to the entrepreneur who happens to be a believer.
Wow.
For many years, I felt like I was a undercover entrepreneur pastor. So I had separated the two. I would preach and then I would secretly go and do business. And one day, I think it happened during COVID, I just decided that I was done being a secret. People knew I did business, but I found myself getting stressed out trying to pastor and do business. And so I was on this war between the two. Yeah. And so I decided, it was like the Holy Spirit tapped me on the shoulder and said, stop fighting. The 201, that's your assignment. And so I decided, man, to just launch fully into that. I've been in business for over 25 years. You name it, I've done it. And so I feel like that's the grace that's on me. A little unusual, especially with the term in this season, this era, marketplace. You find a lot of pastors, ministries are using the term marketplace, and it's great, but my objective is to really show people the way. As John the Baptist pointed people to Jesus, my objective is to point people in the direction of really, really experiencing their goals as it relates to business. And so that's my assignment.
I love that. I love that. For me, I am an entrepreneur myself.
Okay. Yes, sir.
But one thing that I've learned about entrepreneurship is that there oftentimes can be seasons where you are tapped out.
That's good.
And your seasons where you're tapped out, you need some type of recharge.
Yes, sir.
Whether it's a conference, whether it's a master class.
Yes, sir.
Whatever that looks like for for your space.
Yes, sir.
And for me, I looked at your content in a time where I'm like, in a betwixt, try to figure out.
Yes,
and
sir.
I've always had vision, but sometimes you can get burnt out.
Absolutely.
And you can find yourself trying to look for the next.
Yes, sir.
And for me, I just learned that I needed to get in a different room.
Yes,
and
sir.
so as an entrepreneur tonight, I really want to tap in. I'm excited. The energy is in the room.
Yes, sir.
You have done so many things that we've talked about offline, but I want the viewers and those that we're building the community with to figure out and hear all the things that you've got going in that particular way. So for me, I want to know, you said you talked about being an entrepreneur for 25
Yes,
years. What at the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey, what was the start? Like, how did it spark in your belly? Like, I know I'm an entrepreneur.
Gotcha. Trauma.
Wow.
Trauma drove my entrepreneurial skills, as you will. Now, I made a lot of mistakes. My first business, I was in high school in the 9th grade. Okay. I ran an employment agency. Wow. True story. And what I was doing was calling around at the time. I know the age has changed now, but I was calling around Wendy's, all of the, every restaurant has a kid handing fries out the window. And so what I was doing was charging the students $10 to secure an interview. So what I would do is be on the phone act as if I'm an adult, set up an interview. If they get the job, they slide me 10 bucks. And so I've been, it's just something about entrepreneurship that just has been in my heart and my spirit since I was a kid. When I was a kid, as a matter of fact, my mom talks about how I took a briefcase to school every day. Just being the guy that was just always independent, building something even as a kid. But as I was thinking about our time today, and I was asking myself, what's one thing that I would say to your viewers? And it's simply this that I feel like has caused me to get to where I am after 25 years being in this, is that we must understand that entrepreneurship happens within a context. That's what we kind of talked about. And I think people don't understand that. People jump into entrepreneurship and really, really want to be their own boss and work for themselves. But in reality, we have a lot of people who've just created another job for themselves. And there's a difference between becoming an entrepreneur and being a business owner.
Wow.
Some of us are running businesses and it's a job, whereas an entrepreneur is driven by the future. And so a lot of people are burnt out. And I like to say that if you are really, really wrestling with this idea of feeling burnt out, it could be that you're in a season where you need to delegate. And I've learned that. And I've learned that the hard way. And so over 25 years, I've been in the tax industry, the trucking industry. Currently, my wife and I, we run a Christian university that is accredited. I run a rental car company. We offer transportation service to business corporate clients, and then we also, private bookings and things of that nature. We have about 5 drivers that work for us. I do, of course, business coaching where I help serial entrepreneurs make bank without burnout. So I talk to them about what that looks like. I've, published my own, started my own publishing company where I've dropped 3 books over the last several years. We have a new book coming out this year that I'm excited about. That's for those of you who are relational, in relationships, or maybe you're in a marriage that you want to see work. So my wife and I have collabed together on that. And so I've done a little bit of everything. And one thing that I have learned over the years is that you cannot escape the trauma. It just happens within every business. And if you don't want to be familiarized with pain, then you don't need to be in business. Go work for somebody else.
Wow. The trauma conversation has come up multiple times.
Really?
When it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir.
And for me, again, I hadn't looked at it that way.
Wow. Yes,
I
sir.
hadn't looked at it that way. But, the Bible says out of two or three, let every word be established.
Yes, sir.
And so I think that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are traumatized, and they're masking their pain with images.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're masking their pain with trying to be influencers, and
Yes,
they
sir.
don't have the right foundation.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to their business actually becoming successful.
Yes, sir.
And so I like what you said, and I think that there is, whether it's a barber, whether it's a stylist, even if you're just a serial entrepreneur for that matter, there has to be mentorship, coaching, all the things.
I believe that. Yes, sir.
And so you talked about trauma. Was there a coach or someone that took you under the wing to cultivate?
I think that's an area of opportunity for a lot of entrepreneurs. Is one of the things that I value that is very, very important to me as an entrepreneur, and the sustainability of any of my businesses is mentorship. I believe the scripture where it says a man's gift will make room for him. You're a Bible scholar. A lot of us use that scripture thinking and talking about a talent. But if you understand the context of what Solomon was communicating to his son, it was that, listen, if you want another man's time, you need to bring a sizable gift. Because what would happen in Solomon's day is that Solomon was so busy that kings would or guards would stand outside the gate. He was too busy, and he would evaluate the size of the gift to determine if it was sizable enough to get access to the time with the king. And so what I have discovered, that when I have been able to break ceilings, it is when I came to the door with a sizable gift that demanded their attention. You know what I'm saying? So I have just learned that what I really try to get, and hopefully this doesn't offend anybody, but yeah, man, it's your podcast,
Sure.
so you asked me on. You knew what you was getting into. But one of the challenges I have with African American entrepreneurs is we don't believe in the power of investment. We're more interested in the image of success.
Yeah.
When in reality, we need to go inward first. Someone needs to speak into you and speak life into you. And it is my belief, and one of the things that I tell entrepreneurs that I coach very often is you should never ask for something or a pricing point that you have not invested in yourself. So if you're saying, hey, I'm interested in doing business, or someone comes to you and you say, hey, give us your pricing. You say, let's say an hour with me is 10 grand. My question to you then is, who have you invested 10 grand into? Wow. You have to feel the pain of the purchase before you can ask me to invest in where you've not been.
All right, really quick. Is it okay if I take notes?
Yes, sir.
It's my
yes,
master class
yes,
on
sir.
the podcast. I love
Yes, sir. So
that.
I remember that. I had a coach. My monthly investment into him was $2,500 a month, and he was my coach for about 14 months. But that coach helped get me to, instead of a 6-figure year, to 6-figure quarters. And that's what you want, is you want people who can take you where they are or have already experienced. But problem is we're inspired by people who are on the same level that we're on financially. And so, people look and say, man, what are you doing? You can ask my wife, you can check my receipts. I'm not capping today. I'm telling the truth. It really was me making that serious investment into mentorship. I needed to borrow somebody else's history so I don't repeat the same mistakes. And that's I believe has what has really, really helped me down through the years, getting past COVID. I've survived bankruptcy. I've been in real estate. I forgot to mention that my wife and I have done over $100 million in real estate here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, both commercial and residential. And so, I have trained individuals in real estate. I have lost my hat, my jeans, my T-shirt, everything in real estate. And so I have cut my teeth on trauma. And I like to tell people relationship is like a bad marriage you keep coming to. One day it loves you, the next day it hates you. And so, and honestly, that's how I got into the rental car space. Was COVID happened. Because before COVID, I was doing about 4 properties every 60 days, constantly under construction. And I made a sizable investment. I'll never forget it. My wife and I bought a house up in Prestonwood. It's the first property that we spent that kind of money on, and we had a right out of our own money, right of $250,000 in liquid cash into the property. Wow. COVID happened, and the week we were going to market, that was the week they shut the nation down. And so I was in tears. You couldn't see the property. Sure. It just sad, and ultimately we ended up that we had to give it back to the bank. But the bank won because we had $250,000 of our hard cash into the property after sitting on the market for so long, because COVID is around. Nobody's spending money or anything like that. And so that trauma actually birthed another business idea, which is how I ended up in the rental car space. And the point, I guess, that I'm making is you cannot say that you want to do business and not really become familiar with this idea of pain. It just, the two, they coexist, and you have to learn how to manage it.
So pain is indicative to a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Right now I'm working on a message, because maybe we'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later. Sure. But, usually when we go to master classes or we're invited to certain rooms and you hear coaches and speakers speak, they talk about how to be successful, 10 steps to success. I'm working on something where I'm going to be sharing this idea on how to master failure in entrepreneurship. Because you cannot really appreciate success until you master failure. They say success is failure after failure after failure, because each phase of failure teaches you something new about your business that you can use as a launch into whatever it is that you're trying to build. And I don't have a Candyland story. I don't have a sweet, by and by story that the moment I got in business, it was everything was perfect.
Yeah.
I have been through foreclosure. I have been through bankruptcy. I have lost some things. I have made some mistakes. I have been stolen from.
Yeah.
I've gone through some things, but I believe it is those experiences that have allowed me to be the kind of entrepreneur that I am today.
You spoke about failures. That, for me, I was thinking about this earlier today, how when building my first location in Denton, Texas,
Yes, sir.
a lot of people don't know this, but they saw the success. We hosted, citywide events, back to school events,
sir.
and all the things. They would line up for the free
Wow.
haircuts. We did all of that. What they didn't see was I had several teams that I had to, go through.
Wow.
And I remember one season where I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated to the point to where, and I had the best barbers, had the best barbers in the city. And what we would do is we would train them on Sundays.
Okay.
I would train them one-on-one trainings. This is a technique that you can use. If you want to use it, use it. But if not, don't worry about it. But this is the way I've learned, and I believe that this will help your
Yes, sir.
skill set.
Yes, sir.
So we did that. And we got to a point to where we were booked. Everybody was booked, literally. That was the concept during that season. But there were a time where I hired guys that admired what I was doing, but they also envied me at the same time.
Yes, sir. It's true.
Right? So there will
what
be
happened.
times where these guys will team up and plot and say, we can do it ourselves. We don't need him. We don't need him.
Wow.
And I remember one particular day I went home and real tears came down because I was just so frustrated and I felt like I was failing.
Yes, sir.
But it also was teaching me a lesson. And so when you mention failure, I'm like, failure is a part of the journey.
It is.
And some entrepreneurs are afraid to fail because
Yes,
of
sir.
the image
Yes,
that they're
sir.
trying
Yes,
to
sir.
uphold.
Yes, sir. You'll find that one of the things that I have found that I've had to monitor and manage often is my pride. I think it is the one element that kills most entrepreneurs is pride.
Yeah.
One of the things that failure does is failure is designed to kill pride because this can't be about you. Every business is designed to solve a problem. That ain't about you. It's about the next person that you've been called to serve. And so I have learned that I can be up today, down tomorrow. So what I have to do is make sure that I store my success stories and my success moments and those moments where I'm being patted on the back and the profit margins are looking good. And then there's a season where it's not so great. But what most entrepreneurs fail to do is to understand the data and accept the reality of the data. A lot of us, we love to we walk by faith and not by sight. I speak those things that be not. I believe in all of those scriptures. I am unapologetically a believer. I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, but I also believe that it is important that we understand as entrepreneurs, specifically the Black entrepreneur, that we understand the data. You know what I'm saying? Our pride keeps us holding on to a business that ain't working.
Wow.
It's okay. I don't know if you remember the story when Denzel Washington was in the dope game. He takes a trip all the way to China, and on the last trip, the guy says, "Hey man," he says, "Are you sure you should be making this purchase? I don't know that it's wise with everything that is going on." But Denzel was so driven, his pride, his image was so important to him that he failed to see the lesson that it's okay to call it quits when you're on top. You know what I'm saying? So he suffered a catastrophic event where he ended up serving time. And of course, you know the story, but it shows us that as entrepreneurs, we need to understand the seasons of our businesses. And there's a season where something may work. And if you just take, for instance, in the rental car space, everybody was familiar with Turo, hire car, all of that. When I got into it, it wasn't as popular. And at the time, my wife and I had right at 30 vehicles in our inventory. You heard me right, 30 vehicles. We had roughly 15 grand in car payments per month. Could you imagine? That's a lot. And the pressure was real. However, because of the limited access to rental cars, what I decided to do was to backdoor the rental car agency and change the game for the rental car experience. I wanted you to be able to get off the plane, get your bags, walk out of baggage claim, walk up to a car, and I unlock it remotely from my phone. I wanted to change the game on how you rented a vehicle. Now that experience has been normalized and things of that nature, and they didn't have chips being made at the time.
Yes.
So we doing well, man. We're having 6-figure quarters in the rental. I'm excited. I'm smiling. And then what happened was the rental cars started getting back in manufacture. They started being able to manufacture the vehicles, the chips, and all of that settled. I had to make a decision that would I let my pride of saying that I have 30 vehicles in my fleet, will I let my pride keep me holding on to something I need to let go?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm telling you, man, if entrepreneurs could master the art of letting go, we could save marriages. We can probably not be in so much financial distress if we master the art of letting go. We have to understand, like the sons of Issachar, they understood the times. There's a time and a season for every purpose under heaven. You got to know the seasons in your business. And so we had our season. It was wonderful. And then I just said, it's not worth me losing my 401k. It's not worth, me now, the money that I made, I'm turning it around, trying to hold on to it because I got an image I got to protect.
For sure.
And I really believe that entrepreneurs, we got to kill the pride, that I syndrome. It's pride that's making you hold on to something that don't work.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I have just learned, and I've had to take the test time and time again until finally, now that I'm in my 40s, I recognize it ain't worth it. Your image, it's not worth it.
That's good.
Because losing sleep at night to go to something just to say you work for yourself,
Sure.
But at what expense?
Your sanity.
You know what I'm saying? At
Yes.
what expense
Yeah.
are you willing to have the keys to your own shop, your own business at the expense of emotional stability? Your marriage is on the rocks because one spouse says we need to let it go. It is killing the income in the house. And so I've just learned through trial and error that I had to understand the importance that failure is designed to kill pride. And when you don't check pride in the last test of failure, you got to get ready to take it again.
Mm-hmm. I really feel like I'm a student at a college, and you're the professor dropping so many gems. So you went from trauma to pain,
Yes, sir,
to ultimately success. And right here, I'm holding 3 books that you pretty much put out, from prophecy to prophets.
Oh my goodness,
man!
It's
I
my
want y'all to see
flagship book.
this. This is his flagship book. Like and these are mine, so I'm keeping these.
Yes, sir. They're yours.
What's wrong with me? This is something breaking free from what hurt me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then the unheard of,
Yes, sir.
discovering
Yes, sir.
your hidden potential.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
mean, when you think about, you went from failure from trauma to failure to ultimately to success. One would say, man, you got all of these things going on. How in the world, as a successful man, do you balance it all?
Man, I'm still wrestling with that. I had an emotional breakdown earlier today with my wife on the phone. It is just good to have someone who can just be a listening ear. And I've been married for 18 years. I love my wife. That's my girlfriend.
I love that.
We have 5 beautiful children together, and God has been kind to me to give me with someone like her.
Wow.
And just if you just hold that blue book up, just to speak to that a little bit.
Sure.
I went through a season where Tom Joyner was my neighbor. I'm 24 years old. Tom Joyner lives 3 houses down from me. I don't know today if he lived in Las Colinas, Cottonwood Valley, across the street, membership at the Four Seasons Hotel. And one of the things that I found myself doing, honestly, was, once again, going back to that pride. It was me trying to keep up with an image, and I discovered that what was happening was I was funding a lot of my brokenness, and I had to learn the value of emotional integrity as an entrepreneur. And so earlier today, my saying is this, and if you hear anybody else saying it, just know it came from me first. I believe you need Jesus and a therapist.
Gotcha.
And I don't believe Jesus or God is intimidated by a therapist. But what I learned in my wife, and I thank God for her, she helped increase my faith in seeing that this is okay. You need this if you're going to be successful. And so I have my moments, and I've learned the importance of getting things that's on me off me by sharing with someone who understands where I am. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in an interesting season right now. I was sharing with her earlier in my emotional breakdown in the car in front of Chipotle. And I said, I feel like I'm in a season where I've now hit another ceiling that God is trying to break through. That my ceiling is the floor of the next level.
Ooh.
I mean, if you think about that, your
major.
ceiling is the next floor of the floor of the next level. Yeah. And so I feel like where I am, I'm having to recalibrate relationships. I'm having to reconsider the people that I'm surrounded by. It's as if I'm finally seeing what I've prayed for, both ministry-wise, business. I travel all over the world, but it's lonely. Is lonely, and I'm just being honest with you. It's very lonely. And then at the same time, managing other people's expectations. That's the other part. It is, and it's stressful. It can be frustrating. It can be disheartening, because what you were able to do at one level, once you climb, your capacity diminishes to a degree, because next requires more.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? It requires more mental space. It requires more rest, because I don't get to miss it here. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like I can't fumble on my marriage in this season.
Yep.
I'm in my influence years. You know what I'm saying? They say the age between 40 and in your 60s is your years of influence. That's your summer season, your years of influence. So between 40 and 60, those are your influence years. In your 30s, you got a chance to figure out what you were doing, what you wanted to do. In your 20s, you got a chance to make a jump. You could take a leap of faith. You can rebound from something in your 20s. Yeah. And so I'm in that season right now of great influence. And in my influence years, I got to watch my heart. I got to protect what I love most, which is my family. And then at the same time, I got to grow. So it is very, very difficult. Today, man, I true story. I got home from church at 2 a.m. last night. Earlier in the day, I was on the road coming from San Antonio, drove 5 hours here to get to church on time, then had to be at church again today, and then be in this meeting. So trying to catch a nap in between both. And I'm like, I do not feel like doing an interview tonight. That's what I said. I told my wife, and she says, babe, catch a nap so that you can refresh and recharge. So that's what I did. So I'm learning the importance of communicating what's in you, because if you don't, it becomes infectious. It can become a cancer that kills all of the work and the effort that you put forth to get to where you are. So I tell entrepreneurs, if you want to manage more, as I said to them on Sunday, be prepared for the stress that comes with managing more. Ooh. You can't say, I want to be in the room and not deal with the pressure of the room.
And that's the part that they don't see. They don't see the pressure.
Yes, there's pressure.
And you said that. I in the middle of this episode, thank you so much for pulling up on us, man. I really do. I want to really get that out.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for pulling up. But the fact that you are managing all of this and still thriving and operating at a high level. Listen, this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to, I'm going to put the link in the description. I want you guys to check these books out. I'm going to read them. These are going to
Please
be,
do.
These are going to be,
Please
I
do.
want to make sure you see these books because, again, these are something that we're going to tap into.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm thinking about starting a book club. I don't know. We'll see what's up. But,
As you should.
Yeah, but more importantly, I am just impressed with what it is that you are doing.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of which, I want you to speak to something that you got coming up.
Oh,
conference,
man,
You
baby.
are,
Yes, sir.
You are a, I said this earlier, and I was thinking about you. I said, man, we got this interview today, and I said, Pastor Ken is what I call a Swiss Army knife.
A Swiss Army knife.
A Swiss
Okay.
Army knife.
All
That's
right.
how it came to me. So you're balancing everything.
Yes, sir.
You're juggling everything, which you just expressed that. But you have a heart for entrepreneurs.
I do. Man.
And you got something
I
big
love
coming
it.
up. I want
love
you to
it.
break it
I
down
love
and
it.
let everybody know what you got
I love
going
it.
on.
I love it. First off, I want to say, you see the grin on my face
Yeah.
when I start talking about entrepreneurs, when I
Yes.
started talking about really mentoring and coaching entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And one of the things that I promised my wife, I says, I'm not going to start any new ventures. I said, what I'm going to do in my influence years is I'm going to spend time pouring into entrepreneurs. I recognize something about myself that I think every entrepreneur needs to come to grips with. If you're an entrepreneur, you like fresh starts. You
Yes.
like fresh starts.
Yes.
And when I'm done with a fresh start and I build a thing, I got to be very, very careful because the thing I built, I will destroy it because I get excited over new things.
That's good.
So what I told my
That's good.
wife, I says, what I'm going to do, what I'm sensing the Lord is asking me to do in this season, and this was about 5 years ago, I says, I'm going to spend my time helping mentor other faith-based entrepreneurs. I said, because I don't see it. When I have been into entrepreneur meetings, usually they're very carnally driven, worldly, secular. And with me being a believer, I want to make sure that as I do business, that I also have the values of the kingdom to
Yes.
support my character and what it is that I'm trying to build.
Yes.
Excuse me. So what I decided to do, and this is something that I have been working on for a couple of years. I didn't pull the trigger last year, and then this year we decided to do it. But we're hosting our very first Entrepreneurs Faith Convention. And I want to be sure that I want people to understand it's not a church service. Jokingly, I said we're not bringing Bishop Soda Pop to come and smear you in oil and tell you, hey, this is what God's going to do. You probably already know that.
Yes.
I'm inviting people to the room they've always prayed for. I decided to bring some of my best contacts. These are individuals that I have personally engaged with. One of my mentors, who's an 8-figure earner, Derek Harper out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's coming. He's going to be at this year's Entrepreneurs Faith Convention. He's an 8-figure earner. If you've been in the credit space or the financial services space, if you know anything about buying businesses, I like to call him the godfather of the credit industry. And so he's coming. I'm bringing the guy that runs all of my marketing for our ads and things of that nature, because every single month I would meet with, we would have some 400 entrepreneurs register for free training that I would do every single month. And I'm bringing my guy out of Jersey who will share with you guys on what you need to do to attract the right client, because a lot of entrepreneurs are frustrated because they think they have a bad idea. It's not that. The problem is they're marketing their idea to the wrong type of customer.
Sure.
And so we want to show you how to attract the right client. This meeting, I want to be clear, is for any entrepreneur, regardless of the level in which you're on. You're going to leave this room. I promise you, you're going to leave this room with the tools, the strategies, the confidence, the faith, the endurance, and the support that you need to win where you are. So whether you are an entry entrepreneur or a senior entrepreneur, or better yet, if you're someone, you say, listen, man, I don't know where I need to start in business. You need to come to the room. I've got my friend, brother Corey Hughes. I don't know if you know, familiar with him. He was big with Black Lives Matter here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But Corey has over some 40 tax offices nationwide. He's coming to talk about the tax industry. And I don't know if we talked since, but this week we got word that one of the things I wanted to do at the Entrepreneurs Faith Convention was to offer on-site funding for business owners. Wow. We're going to talk about property flipping. I'm going to share with you how I flipped my first real estate deal with $34 to my name, made 10 grand in 10 days. And so we literally, and we're not here to give you some pie in the sky idea of business, because I done been in some of those rooms, and even not to throw shade at churches or anything like that, but there are pastors who are trying to offer conferences and slide business in there. Many of them don't have an idea of how to do business because they themselves are not business leaders. So what I've decided to do is to create a meeting for the entrepreneur who happens to be a believer. That's what this meeting is about. So I want to make sure that they understand that if you're praying, I want you to know Luke 6:38 says, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men. I'm the man that's supposed to bless you. I'm your Luke 6:38. So if you are somebody and you've been praying, man, I want to get in the room. I want to get in the room. I want you to know I decided to create a room large enough to speak to any entrepreneur, regardless of the level that they're on. Our team, we added it up, man. We're offering over 6 figures in value over 2 days. Wow. 6-figure in value over 2 days. You get a chance to come, you're going to walk away with what you need. And one of the things I want people to understand, especially the faith-based entrepreneur takes more than just faith. It requires intentionality. Yeah. A lot of us, we're spending time in prayer. You asked a pivotal question, how do you balance it all? Yes. I made a decision as an entrepreneur, since I'm doing so much, is I decided to do business out of my consecration. So what is very, very important to me is my spiritual walk with Christ, my prayer life, my word life, because that helps me balance it all. But after I'm done consecrating, I need strategy. I need systems in place. If you look at Genesis 1, where the Bible says that the earth was formless and void, darkness covered upon the face of the deep. And the Bible says that in verse 3, God utilized a strategy, which was his words. And the Bible says, and God said, that's a strategy. My objective is when they come to the Entrepreneurs Faith Convention, they're not going to just walk away with a prayer. They're going to walk away with strategies that they can immediately execute after leaving the meeting. And not only that, but we're going to be offering up to $50,000 in business funding on site. Wow. I don't know where you can get that. I don't care what I'm going to say that. I don't think y'all heard what I just said. 50 grand funding on site. We have lending partners that are partnering with our organization. So whether you need to upgrade camera equipment, if you're a chef, I'm bringing Frisco's man who's going to talk to those who are chefs who maybe are in the food truck industry. This brother got his sauces and Sam's and Walmart's, and he coming to give the game. I don't care what industry it is. So if you need extra funding, all it requires is a 580 credit score. You can get up to 50 grand. So this right here alone is worth getting involved. And so 100%. The Entrepreneurs Faith Convention, and my objective is not to pack the room. When we were meeting with the planning team, I'm not trying to get 200 entrepreneurs in Dallas. That's not my objective. Sure. I literally only want about 75 entrepreneurs in the room. That's it. I'm not trying to pack it out. I'm trying to make it an experience where you leave there feeling confident, you got community, and you've got the resources necessary to get your business to where you ultimately want it to be.
Listen, if you are here listening to what he's sharing tonight, or rather today, I'm going to put a link in the description
so
our community can benefit. He said it best. 50 grand on site.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that
sir.
that in itself is
It's worth it.
enough to
Yes,
say
sir.
I want to be a part
Yes,
of
sir.
FAC.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited. You said something. I was listening to your message earlier today. And you said something. You said entrepreneurship is God's way of
Oh,
deliverance.
Jesus.
I
Okay.
said, yo, that's a bar.
Yes, sir.
And
That-
I mean, I was just listening to it and I wanted to get a feel. And I said, yo, you have something extremely unique that entrepreneurs at any level need.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I will be there.
Yes,
I
sir.
am going
Want
to
you in the
shift
room.
my schedule around so we
Please
can be
do.
there. I want to support what it is that you're doing. I want to see if I can get that 50,000.
Yes, sir. You have to. You have to, man.
Yes.
I want people to understand, this important truth, and it's simply this: the will of God for your business is not automatic. God is not just going to rain down new customers. You got to go and get them.
Got to go get them.
You have to go out and get it.
That's
After you're done praying, after
good.
you've done all the consecration, after you've done been to the prophetic presbytery and the prophet done told you,
Yeah.
you're going to be a business owner. Great.
Right.
Now what?
Now what?
That's what EFC is for.
I love that.
I'm the now what. I want to give you the tools you need
Yes.
to get that business to where you ultimately want it to be.
Man, I am so excited about this.
Yes, sir. Yes,
we
sir.
will definitely be in the building. I am going to be sharing the word
Yes, sir. Please
so
do.
that we can be a part of this. I have a few more questions before
Shoot.
we let you go. It's actually, I had to write it down
Okay.
because this is something that came to me today. It says, in the evolving business landscape, how do you stay adaptable and capitalize on emerging trends?
Okay.
I know that.
So, thank you for that. You should have sent me that earlier, so I at least got an answer. But you're gonna give it to me on spot.
On the spot.
We're gonna work
On
with
the
it. We're gonna
spot.
work with it.
So how do you adapt? How do you adapt to this trending?
One of the things that I'm always doing is I always stay in a state of learning. I am an avid student. Although I'm a teacher, I am very much an avid student. I probably read about 10 books a month. I also stay close enough to a coach who can give me access into what's next. Change is not a bad thing. A lot of people, if we just take this idea of artificial intelligence, the larger language model, that's a trend that is shifting the landscape of how we do business. A lot of entrepreneurs, if I lined up 10 entrepreneurs in the room, I guarantee only 2 of them are probably utilizing this resource. What I decided to do a few years back was I actually went to school to get a certificate to understand the larger language model known as ChatGPT and other sources that are out there, because I understand that new tools that come out are not designed to frustrate my business. I have to find the win in the change. And if I can find the win in the change and use it, it could actually probably save me from some frustrations that I might be dealing with currently within my business. And here's another shameless plug. A friend of mine who's a business partner, we're bringing someone to EFC who's going to be teaching you on prompt training for ChatGPT.
Wow.
So we're going to talk to you
a
about
game changer.
how to understand the large language using artificial intelligence, how it can benefit your business, how you can 10x your results in what you do as a business leader. So I would just say, as business owners, we should always, most of us, sadly, are reactive instead of being proactive. And I find that change catches us by surprise when we're not prepared for it. Since change is inevitable, you do what you feel is absolutely necessary for you to be able to adapt. And I have just learned as an entrepreneur, I got to get comfortable. It goes back to this idea of seasons. As long as the earth remains, there will always be seed time and harvest. I believe that's Genesis chapter 8. So we have to know that in business, I think what we want to do is we want to build business in rigidity. I don't even know if that's a word, but you can't be rigid as an entrepreneur. You have to be flexible. You got to be fluid. You have to get in with the flow. And I have learned that if you really, really want to own and dominate the industry that you've been called to as an entrepreneur, you gotta you gotta get comfortable with being fluid. You got to be as liquid as
love that.
possible. You got to find a way to get in wherever you can fit in. Changes is not a bad thing. You just got to find a way to make it work for you.
You know, I love that. One thing I want to take away from that,
Yes, sir.
and for the entrepreneurs, 2 years ago, if you had told me I would be in the media space, creating reels, creating content.
And you're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
They said if you want to create multiple streams of income, start a business, learn a new skill, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so indirectly, we learned a new skill, not realizing that it was going to benefit us on the back
Yes,
end.
sir. Yes, sir.
And so I love the fluid piece because you have to become fluid within your sphere of business.
Yes, sir.
And so
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
love that you brought that point
sir.
out, because my heart is for inspiring entrepreneurs,
good.
more
That's
so
good.
inspiring barbers.
That's good.
That's our space. And
Yes,
so we
sir.
want to help barbers level up and 10x their brand and their business by the tools and the systems. And
Good.
so
I want to say this to you.
Yes.
You're doing something most people, and we might get in trouble with this.
That's
so
okay.
Just tell me when to shut
Just
up.
flow.
But most people, the danger of serial entrepreneurs is we're chasing multiple streams. I want you to take just a high level view.
Okay.
Is you are a barber
Yes.
that has found a way to develop an additional stream from a primary source. Most of us make the mistake of trying to do 6 different things when in reality, you got to locate your river, and out of every river, there's a stream. The mistake most entrepreneurs make is they're trying to get to streams when they've not identified a river. When Adam was placed in the garden, before he ever touched the other streams, the main river was Eden. And the Bible says out of Eden flowed these multiple streams. And the danger of entrepreneurship today is we're chasing too many streams and we've not identified a river. Once you know what your river is, for you, it's barbering.
Yes.
So what you're doing is you've created a space for other barbers to be empowered. You want to help 10x day results.
Yes.
You want to share with them the different strategies and things out of that. That in turn has created an opportunity for you to have this. And so now the person that's going to be attracted to you is someone who's in a similar industry. So not only do you cut their hair, not only do you mentor them, but now you're empowering them to, maybe they buy a subscription that says, hey, I'm going to take advantage of his subscriptions every single month. So then that becomes a stream.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? So I really, I hope that other entrepreneurs are taking notice of how multiple streams are developed. It's not in multiple industries. It's in one main industry. And out of that main industry, you get multiple streams.
That's powerful. And it happens so organically.
Yes,
it
sir.
happens.
It usually does.
It does.
Yeah,
and
it
that's
does.
some of the that's some of the best situations that you can find
Yeah,
yourself
yes, sir.
in, is when things happen organically.
Yes, sir.
And for us, it happened to a place where I just was, taking pictures and videos of my haircuts. And then, I started making my own reels.
Wow.
And then from there, I was using my phone.
Okay.
And then it enhanced to, man, this quality ain't the best. And if you're any type of media content person, content creator, there's a significant difference between your phone and your camera.
Yes, sir.
Now, the caveat to that is there are some that are skilled enough
sir.
to make
Yes,
their
sir.
phone work.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm not mad at that either. However, we learned to kind of level up. And now it's like, we went from, creating reels for our haircuts to now, man, it's
Love it.
we got some
Love it.
things
I
happening.
love it. I
We got
love
some
it.
things
Love it. I
happening.
love it. Yes,
So,
sir.
I guess I'll say for one of our final questions is for the young, inspiring entrepreneur who's inspired by this conversation. How do you motivate and inspire them to go from where they are intimidated, or they have some trauma, or, as you mentioned earlier, or they have a gift, but they don't have the right system or the right resources? What do you say to them to kind of push them into where they need to be?
The words that God communicated to Joshua after his predecessor Moses had went on to be with the Lord. He tells him to be of good courage. I want to speak to the entrepreneur listening to me that you're in your 20s. You are in what they call your spring season. This is the season in which you're shifting from adolescence to an opportunity where you can take risk. And what I want to say to you, which is what I was able to do at 24 years old, true story, I was $500,000 in unsecured debt, 24. I filed bankruptcy at 25.
Wow.
The challenge for most young entrepreneurs is they're afraid to jump. I want to give you permission to jump.
Wow.
Because the only way you get a chance to succeed is hitting your head, jumping off the ledge, and just giving it a try. And I want to encourage you. I don't know who this is for. I just sense by the Spirit of God. We prayed before this broadcast. I'm sensing someone is listening to me right now, and you need to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's okay to jump. It's okay to jump. And let me help you. You don't need a parachute. God's got you. And I have learned that. I give you permission to jump. Okay? Because if you don't, what you're going to do is you're going to get to your 40s wishing you would have jumped in your 20s. Because you can rebound in your 20s, but some jumps, some leap of faiths I can't make in my 40s. Because I don't have the time to make up for the mistake. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So I have learned that in my 20s, I got it out of my system. I went ahead and jumped. And I want to challenge you to do that. And then secondly, mentorship. Borrow someone else's history. You should not have to repeat a mistake I've already made.
Wow, that's a bar.
You should not. You should not. Just this podcast alone. You should not be repeating mistakes just based off of this conversation. There's no reason why you got to hit a brick wall if I'm telling you to anticipate the wall. But something that I did not have early on is I didn't have mentorship. But in all fairness, people weren't as open. They weren't sharing the game. I remember when I got into real estate, I'd show up to do a real estate deal and I'm negotiating, and nobody's giving me the game. It's all a secret, you know. No, everybody's hush. You know, I done jumped through all of the hoops, made the content because I'm a good connector. I'm the kind of guy I just figured out. I don't care what. When I got in the trucking industry, I didn't know nothing about trucks. All I know was a cat came and rented a vehicle from me and said, I'm making 10 bands a week driving the truck. I said, you got to be kidding me.
Wow.
The next week, 2 weeks later, my wife and I went out and spent $90,000 for a truck. Wow. Didn't have no state permits, did not know anything about the trip, the rules of the road. I didn't know nothing. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes,
did
sir.
not know nothing.
Wow.
We spent $90,000
Yes.
on a box truck. That's how I got into the trucking industry. Didn't know anything about it. But I learned through making those mistakes. So I'm just saying to you guys, and I don't know who this is for. The saying is true. Scared money don't make money.
I love
You
that.
can't be scared. It just is what it is. If you want what this young man has, if you see someone that you're inspired by, I promise you, if you trace their steps, they weren't scared.
That's right.
And I'm not saying that jumping is an absence of fear. I've done a lot of things in fear.
Yeah.
But I don't let the fear restrict me. I don't let the fear hold me hostage. I'm making a decision to feel the fear, but do it anyway. That's what you got to do. If you're going to succeed, if you're going to be the entrepreneur, if you want to get to wherever your financial goals are, if you want independence, then do it. But if you are looking where you want to be comfortable, please close the doors of the business and go work for somebody.
Wow.
Please do it. I give you permission. Close the doors, sell all the equipment, and go work for somebody. Because you're going to waste your time. And I just decided that I was willing to bet on me. Right? That's what I was willing to do, was bet on me. And I was done letting someone tell me how much I was worth. And this is not a knock to anybody that's working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And let me just deal with this myth because he done got me in trouble now. Not everyone is called to entrepreneurship.
That's right.
We got to fix this inspiring message in the church that says everybody's going to run their own business. Somebody got to answer the phone.
That's right.
Somebody's got to answer the phone because I'm not going to be answering the phone. You don't want me on the phone because I don't know what step 3 is.
Sure.
So someone has to answer the phone. Yeah. So I want to challenge you to ask, really, really consider if this is what you've been called to, because a call to business is a call to ministry.
Woo. Wow. Listen, there's nothing else for me to say. This has been another episode of More Than the Barber. This is my guy, Pastor Ken.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
so excited for you to come.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you.
Hope it won't be my last time.
No, you're going to be back.
All right,
You're
let's
going to
do
be
it.
back.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hey, what's up, great people? It's me, Pastor Ken. I pray that you all are just as excited as I am. By now, you probably have heard the news of what is taking place here right in the beautiful city of Dallas-Fort Worth. For the first time ever, I'm hosting something called the Entrepreneurs Faith Convention. February the 29th and March the 1st, you need to be in the room. Luke 6:38 says, "Given it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give back into your bosom." I don't know about you, but I have been in business for over 25 years. I have cut my teeth in a lot of industries. And so I want you to know that your boy, I've been through some trials and some tests. And so what I'm planning to do is get entrepreneurs in the Dallas-Fort Worth in the same room. We're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about application. We're going to lean into some of your current frustrations and even help ensure that you're reaching the right client so you can finally be paid your worth and your value. So listen, I want you to do me a favor. Go to exploreefc.com and get registered. We are literally about 20 days away or so from this epic event that is taking place once again in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Entrepreneurs Faith Convention. It's the place where God is going to take center stage in your business. We're going to do everything we need to make sure you get to where you desire to be. Get registered.
Hey, yo, check this out. If you like this episode, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe down below. We got amazing content coming your way. Stay tuned for more. Let's go.